Hi, I'm Sarah Gardner. We're set to take you on a cross-country journey this time to meet some farmers and ranchers who say that protecting the environment is critical for folks in the city and folks on the farm. Running a dairy farm produces lots of manure. This Michigan farmer has taken steps to become a better neighbor when it comes to preventing water pollution. We'll take you to Virginia, where farmer Robert Mills says improving the environment can also improve profitability. Then improvements right at the ground level. We'll head for the sugarcane fields of Louisiana, where one farmer is working to improve the soil that sustained his family for generations. And we'll take you into the kitchen with Sharon Profis. She's serving up a sweet-tasting recipe you'll want to try. That's in our Farm to Fork segment. It's all coming up on America's Heartland.
America's Heartland is made possible by Crop Life America, representing the companies whose modern farming innovations help America's farmers provide nutritious food for communities around the globe. The Fund for Agriculture Education, a fund created by KVIE to support America's Heartland programming. Contributors include the following.
You can see it in the eyes of every woman and man in America's heartland, living close to the land. There's a love for the country and a pride in the brand. In America's heartland, living close to the land.
Thanks for being with us on America's Heartland. It's a fact of life that in the past few years, a growing segment of the population has become much more interested in American agriculture. Increasing imports of foods from other countries are part of the reason. Concerns about E. coli and salmonella are another. And some of that has to do with a growing interest in sustainability, air quality, and water pollution. Those environmental concerns impact everyone, whether you live in the city or on a farm. Solving those concerns has prompted farmers to address issues like wastewater from livestock pens. We've shown you many stories in which farmers have adopted no-till farming, a method which leaves crop residue, like corn stalks or wheat stalks, in the field to help prevent erosion and reduce the evaporation of water. And new technology like global positioning makes it possible to have farm equipment target specific plants or rows of plants, reducing the amount of fertilizer or pesticides needed on a field. How does this impact you? Well, let's introduce you to some farmers all across the country taking steps to address environmental concerns. Jason Shoultz starts in Virginia with the farmer who grew up in the city and made his way to the farm.
Get him moving a little bit.
A father and son getting ready to show goats at the county fair. This kind of scene is familiar to farm families for generations. But that's not Robert Mills' story. He's something you don't see a lot of in the Heartland, a first-generation farmer who grew up in the city. Spending time on a farm as a youngster, he fell in love with the lifestyle and made up his mind.
Most 13-year-olds don't make their mind up on what they want to do when they grow up, but I did.
So Robert joined the FFA Youth Agriculture Group and started taking agriculture classes in school. And when Robert told his parents about his dream of farming,
and my dad kind of laughed and said, "Son, you can't do that. You've got to inherit a farm, or we've got to have money or something for you to be able to do that." From that day forward, everything I have ever done has been to put ourselves in the position that we're in now, and that's to be a full-time agriculture producer.
Well, today Robert operates a farm with 500 head of cattle. He also raises chickens on contract for a poultry producer.
I think you appreciate it more when you actually build it yourself.
Robert's fresh approach allows him to try new things, to take a different look at farming and adopt practices that some old-timers might brush aside. He's most proud of his environmental stewardship.
As you can see, this was actually a path where the cattle were coming down to get into the pond to drink.
Keeping livestock away from fresh drinking water might seem counterintuitive, but the cattle's hooves can damage the area surrounding streams and ponds, causing serious soil erosion.
And this has only been the first full season that the cattle have been out of this pond, and already we're starting to see vegetation come up naturally
Now the cattle get their water from a well, clean water supplied by these clean watering stations. And the water back at the pond is getting cleaner too. If a cow isn't drinking down here, well, that cow isn't doing something else down here either.
This past summer, it was a gentleman, he said he'd been fishing here for about 15 years, and this was the first summer that he can ever remember seeing the bottom of the pond.
Of course, it's hard to see the impact here. This has only been fenced off for a short time. But take a look at another pond that Robert fenced off several years ago. Trees are growing back, the water is clear, and the wildlife is back.
This particular area we actually reforested, planted some fruit-bearing trees, fenced the cattle out, which gave them water, it gave them habitat, and it also gave them food.
This is what that other one will look like in a few years.
You give the one we looked at previously about 3 or 4 years, and you'll start to see a lot of these woody vegetation come in.
Robert says they've invested about $100,000 in these efforts. Cost-sharing programs with the state and federal government help ease the burden.
But if you look at the benefits, it makes us better managers because we can rotationally graze and have water in multiple paddocks. I think we get paid back over time for the money that we actually put into these practices.
Not all farmers and ranchers are convinced that environmental efforts like these are worth the trouble or expense. Others question the benefit to taxpayers, spending government money on private environmental projects.
Even in this community, we've actually seen some farmers who've kind of been against what, or haven't changed to what we're doing, starting to make that transition because it just makes good sense.
For the MC Cattle Company, it's paid off with a healthier herd and land that's better preserved for future generations.
Well, thank you for another beautiful day, God, and we thank you for the rain that's fallen, Lord, to replenish this earth.
New approaches, determination in the face of adversity, and a love of farming have proven to be the right combination for Robert Mills and his family.
Agriculture and the involvement that I have had in agriculture has given my family and I everything that we could have ever asked for.
Virginia has some famous farmers to its credit. Both Thomas Jefferson and George Washington had large farms in Virginia. That story about Washington chopping down a cherry tree might not be true, but orchards figured prominently in early American agriculture. And early settlers found that tobacco provided a quick cash crop, and Virginia claims the earliest peanut farms in the United States.
Farmers have known for centuries that good crops demand good soil. Scientists will tell you that it can take more than 300 years for natural elements to create just 1 inch of topsoil. Addressing erosion is certainly the first step. Rob Stewart says that some farmers are getting help in learning how to make sure their soil is around for future generations.
Meet Lane Blanchard. He's a 5th-generation sugarcane farmer in New Iberia, Louisiana.
My wife will tell you, I got sugar in my blood.
Lane spent his entire life in these leafy green fields, farming 3,000 acres of sugarcane alongside his father, brothers, and sons.
This cane will get up probably on an average of about 10 feet tall.
10 feet?
Yeah, at harvest time.
And so where exactly is the sugar coming from?
Well, actually, as this cane is going to grow, it makes what they call internodes.
Internodes, okay.
If you dig down deep inside, there's very few now, but...
Oh, there it is.
If you look here...
That's the cane.
That's the cane itself. And this is what it'll look like, once it grows out to maturity.
Louisiana's subtropical weather provides the perfect climate for growing sugarcane, a multi-million-dollar crop in the Bayou State. Each of these plants on Lane's farm will produce for 3 years, with a sugarcane harvest every 12 months. Once harvested, the stalks of cane are hauled to a processing plant where they're crushed to extract the raw brown sugar crystals inside. After processing, trucks will haul the brown sugar to the plant's storage area. How did they get what you grew to this?
Through a process what we call grinding sugarcane.
Grinding sugarcane, and then what happens from here?
From here, it's going to go to a refiner, and they will refine it one more time to make a white sugar.
Lane sugar is shipped all over the world, ending up in soft drinks, candy, pastries, or in your morning cup of coffee. Being the latest in a long line of cane farmers is important to Lane and his family.
I think I love it so much because that's what he has always wanted to do, and it's been in his family, you know, for years and years and years. And, you know, and now that my boys are working with him and I can see how much that they love it, and just being along their side, helping, and, you know, as a wife, and it means a lot to us.
Number one, try to help pay for this weed control cost that a sugarcane farmer has.
These days, improving the crop means improving the land on which the cane is grown. To do that, Lane is taking part in the Louisiana Master Farmers Program, a statewide project with environmental coursework and accreditation requirements that the farmers must meet.
Lane is doing everything he can to improve his soil quality because he knows how important it is, and it's for the future of the farm. It's not something that he's going to get an immediate return on, and it's great farm management technique.
The soil is very important. We're taking every measure we can to preserve the soil for future generations.
The expansive tracts of sugarcane here are a far cry from the 90 acres first planted by Lane's father Harvey a half-century ago. But the family's farming dream remains the same, watching the roots of this farm continue to grow in good times and bad.
But farming's that way, you know. You gotta be there when it's bad to reap the good.
I'm proud of him and the boys for all they've, you know, come through, because it was good times and bad, you know.
Why is it so special to you, Lane?
Well, it's all I've ever done. I mean, I grew up on a farm, and it's all I ever wanted to do.
Well, you're living your dream.
Yep.
And it's a sweet one, too.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Sugarcane is part and parcel of Louisiana's agricultural history. Jesuit priests first brought sugarcane to the state in the 1750s, finding Louisiana's climate and soil perfect for the plant. It's also a popular crop in almost every tropical and subtropical region on Earth, grown in more than 90 countries worldwide.
We know that lots of you like a touch of sweetness when it comes to the dishes on your dinner table, but we're not talking about desserts here. Our Sharon Profis is in the kitchen, and she has a sweet peach treat that you'll want to try with your main dish meals.
There are so many ways peaches can brighten up a dish, and not just desserts. When I have a bunch of peaches over the summer, one of my favorite things to make is a peach chimichurri and a seared skirt steak. Chimichurri is a really popular condiment in Argentina, and when you're traveling there, you'll pretty much see it on every table. And what it's based on is parsley and garlic. From there, you can have fun with all the additional ingredients you add, but those are the basis of a chimichurri. So here I've got about a cup of parsley that I'm just gonna rough chop. And then comes garlic. I'm gonna do about 3 smaller cloves of garlic and also give those a good mince. And now we're gonna add half of a red bell pepper. You can see that it's already coming together as a really colorful dish. So next we have 2 Roma tomatoes, and for this I actually want to take out the seeds because I want most of the moisture to come from our red wine vinegar, our olive oil, and the peach juice. First I'll just cut these in half lengthwise and then take out that juicy pulp. For the tomatoes, we'll also just give them a really small dice. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of oregano. You can actually get really creative here and add any type of herb you have in the garden or on hand. And the moment you start chopping it, its beautiful scent comes out. That's really the advantage of using fresh herbs. And finally, we'll put half of a small red onion here, also a small dice. Now it's time to add our star ingredient, peaches. Their peak season is sometime between June and August, and during that time you'll see a variety of peaches. You have white peaches and yellow peaches, and within those 2 categories there are more varieties. But today we're using yellow peaches. They're tangier than the white peaches, and to really elevate the sweetness today, we're going to grill the peaches before we put them into the chimichurri. So let's start by preparing them for the grill. I have 2 beautiful yellow peaches, and the way I've chosen them is by just firmly pressing them with the palm of my hand. That's how you check for peaches. You don't want to squeeze them with your fingertips, otherwise you can risk bruising them, and it's not really a good indicator of whether or not they're ready. You also want to make sure they don't have really any major scars or existing bruising. So these peaches are absolutely perfect, and I'm just going to start by removing the pit. So I have my 4 peach halves that I'm just going to go ahead and quarter, and now we're ready to grill them. So right now I'm using cast iron skillet. I've got it lightly oiled, and my peaches are sliced. And just before it starts to smoke, you add the peaches. You want to grill them at a pretty high temperature, and you want to hear that sizzle. We'll go ahead and grill these a couple of minutes on each side until they're browned. All right, these have grilled long enough. You can smell the sweetness, but you also have that great smoky flavor from the chars. Let them cool a little bit and add them to our chimichurri. So all of our ingredients are in, and all that's left to add is our seasonings, right? So we have our red wine vinegar. I also want to add red pepper flakes. Now, whenever you have a lot of sweetness in a dish, unless it's a dessert, you want to cut that by adding a little bit of spice too. And of course, salt. This should be well seasoned. A little bit of fresh ground black pepper. And finally, olive oil. So our chimichurri is complete, and now we're going to set it aside and let it sit. Let's get our steaks ready. The first thing we want to do is pat it really dry, because the secret to preparing great juicy skirt steak is to cook it really fast over high heat. And if you have a lot of moisture trapped there, that's not going to happen. So once you have one side patted, just go ahead and season it very, very generously. So lots of salt and pepper. Got one side, and we'll do the same thing to the other side. Now that we have it all seasoned, let's take it over to the stovetop and get this thing seared. Skirt steak cooks really quickly, so I'm going to prepare this pan by putting it on very high heat, and right before it hits that smoking point, that's when you add the skirt steak. And I'm going to add just under a tablespoon of butter and mix that with a little bit of olive oil. Now when we add the skirt steak, we should hear that sear, that sizzle. We'll let it cook on each side for about 2 minutes. So we have a little bit of that caramelization here, and it's curled up a little bit. That's how you know that the skirt steak is ready. Our steak has been resting for a few minutes, which is really important because all of those juices go right back into the meat. So you can see here that the grain is going this way, and we want to cut perpendicular to it so that the meat just falls apart when we plate it. So to do that, cut it into little strips. And as we cut into it, you can see that it's still a little medium rare in the middle there, ensuring that it's still really juicy. As you can see, the peaches, the tomatoes, they've really let out their juices and combined with that olive oil and red wine vinegar to create a beautiful condiment. So there you have it. This dish is a perfect way to show just how sweet and tangy peaches are, while also showcasing their versatility. Bon appetit.
Water issues and water quality are topics that come up whether you live in the city or the country. And since many parts of the U.S. have been facing drought conditions in recent years, protecting water sources has become even more important. That's prompted farmers and ranchers to take a hard look at how they can be better neighbors when it comes to pollution and sustainability. Jason Shoultz takes us to one farm in Michigan that's joined a program to meet those goals.
The DeYoung's Michigan dairy farm is growing. 10 years ago, Boss DeYoung and his wife Laura had 150 cows.
Present day today, we're milking 1,800 cows.
Considerably larger than the average Midwest dairy of a few hundred cows. A high-tech rotary milker keeps things moving here at Hickory Gables Farm. It's a necessity for an operation of this size. Like many farms these days, getting bigger is part of this family's plan for staying successful in the slim margin dairy industry.
You know what? Bigger was not really what I needed. I just wanted to take care of my animals. And you know, one thing leads to the next. And when you're bursting out of seams, you gotta make provisions. So that's how we arrived to 1,800 cows. It's a way of life. It is a lot of work. And we have a motto, it's ora labora, pray and work. I think that does get us through the day, but it's also very rewarding.
But increasing in size also means larger concern among neighbors about some of the aspects of a dairy like his. And the biggest concern is what comes out of the cows after they eat.
Well, with a cow, with manure, you can't plug them up. And so it's an everyday deal. And you can't run away from it, you gotta face it.
And that means a giant lagoon filled with cow manure. But lagoons like these on other Michigan farms have caused problems in the past, overflowing during storms and polluting waterways. Boss is confident in the design and safety of his lagoon, but admits the sheer scale of a farm this size can be scary for neighbors.
So, is there a fear among the public? Yes, and rightfully so, because of the bad players. But there's too many good players to downplay it.
A state program called the Michigan Agriculture Environmental Assurance Program, or MEAP, is designed to help farming operations like Hickory Gables meet environmental standards. Things like making sure Boss has enough farm ground on which to spray manure from that lagoon and avoid the threat of runoff.
To get to MEAP verification, it's a pretty rigorous process. We're going to look under every rock, like we say, right from nutrient and pest management, fuel storage, fertilizer storage, you know, the list goes on and on and on. All the things you might look at a farm and think of as a potential risk, we evaluate to a standard and work with growers to get them to that standard voluntarily.
It's time consuming because you actually have to sit down and go through the paperwork. It can be, and it can be a good thing because you're learning, and good things aren't always easy, and good things are educational. So I think the MEAP program, it stretches you and it challenges you.
The MEAP program is voluntary and includes participation from various agriculture, government, and conservation organizations. Any agriculture business in the state can apply for certification.
I've worked with farms that have taken 4 years and spent $4 million. I've worked with farms that were already there. It depends on past practices. It depends on how the facility was built. It depends on the type of facility. The program is built for every farm, every size, and every commodity in Michigan. Everybody has an opportunity to participate. It's really up to them.
1,000 Michigan farms have either been certified or are working to meet MEAP guidelines. The program points to reductions in soil erosion and phosphorus runoff as examples of ways that MEAP is improving water quality.
People want to know where you've been and where you're going. And I think MEAP tells a story. They give you a sign, and I'm posting my story on the roadside. And I'm sharing with people that I want to be environmentally stewardly.
But does MEAP go far enough? The Michigan Sierra Club would like to see the standards raised. Others would like to see the program become mandatory for Michigan farmers rather than voluntary.
It's my belief, if you make somebody do something, they don't buy into the reasons why they're doing it. When I leave that farm, they're probably not going to do it anymore. When I leave a MEAP verified farm that's done these things because they want to for the right reasons, those are the people we want representing this program.
The reasons for Boss and his wife Laura are evident. The next generation. Youngsters already learning to care for their calves in the backyard.
We're passing through, so we got to leave a legacy behind. So you're trying to be a steward of what you do have so that they can pick up the bags and go forward rather than cleaning up a mess.
Have you checked out our America's Heartland website? Find us online at americasheartland.org. There's a long list to choose from, hundreds of videos, facts about farming, recipes, and a whole lot more. And if you're into social media, you can connect to us that way as well. Thanks for traveling the country with us. We'll see you next time on America's Heartland.
You can purchase a DVD or Blu-ray copy of this program. Here's the cost. To order, just visit us online or call 888-814-3923.
You can see it in the eyes of every woman and man. How about that? In America's heartland, living close to the land. There's a love for the country and a pride in the brand. In America's heartland, living close to the land.
America's Heartland is made possible by Crop Life America, representing the companies whose modern farming innovations help America's farmers provide nutritious food for communities around the globe. The Fund for Agriculture Education, a fund created by KVIE to support America's Heartland programming. Contributors include the following: